Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7. We're at episode number 1640 today, and thank you so much for joining me for this episode. This is an annual tradition, this particular episode at Star Wars 7x7, on the day before the last day of the year, the day before New Year's Eve, the penultimate day of the year, if you will. This is the day that we take to honor the folks who have passed away, the lights that have gone out in the Star Wars galaxy over the course of the previous year. We've talked about a couple of them here and there when the passings happened over the course of the year, but this is the full list as far as we have been able to research. And if there are others out there, then by all means do let me know in comments wherever you happen to catch this episode, so that way we can make sure that they are honored and acknowledged as well. But this is the, as far as we know, definitive list of folks who have passed in the Star Wars galaxy in 2018. We start out by acknowledging Allison Schirmer, who is the executive producer of the two Star Wars standalone movies. That would be Rogue One and Solo, of course. In addition to that, she had an illustrious career in Hollywood, producing the American Pie movies, the Bourne movies, and the Hunger Games movies, as well as a number of other very successful movies. Then in March, we lost Debbie Lee Carrington, who played Rumba, who was an Ewok in Return of the Jedi, and also played Weechi Warwick in Caravan of Courage in Ewok Adventure. And according to Wikipedia, some footage of her Ewok character in Return of the Jedi was used for Star Wars Battlefront as well. There were also a lot of passings in the comics world specifically related to Star Wars. The first of them in 2018 was a letterer named Jim Novak, and there is a story about how Jim actually helped to create the iconic Star Wars logo by revising the logo that was sent to them for the Marvel Comics debut back in 1977. Later on in the year, we lost Michael Ford, who was a set decorator for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And then Bong Dazo, who was a penciler for the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic comics, as well as the Force Unleashed graphic novel. Then later on in the year, we lost Marie Severin, who was a penciler, inker, and colorist who contributed to the original Marvel Star Wars series, as well as the Droids and Ewoks comics. And then, of course, the biggest of all comics losses later in the year naturally was the loss of Stan Lee. We also lost another very important person to the creation of what we know of Star Wars today, Gary Kurtz, who is the producer who worked on the original Star Wars trilogy, on A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, as well as American Graffiti. And this year we also lost Marty Balin, who is one of the lead singers of Jefferson Starship, and therefore was one of the folks who appeared in that holographic segment in the Star Wars Holiday Special where Art Carney sits down the Imperial officer to amuse him for the short run. And yeah, that song actually is one of the better segments of the Holiday Special as far as I was concerned. Even the kids liked that one when I made them watch it. Also, we lost Carlos Ezquerra, who was an artist on the Mara Jade by the Emperor's Hand Legends comic, and I guess he is best known, according to Wikipedia, for being the co-creator of Judge Dredd, if you've ever been familiar with that character. And last but certainly not least, we lost Gloria Katz, who was the Academy Award-nominated screenwriter for American Graffiti, and who was also sort of a silent script doctor, along with her husband, William Hike, on the original Star Wars A New Hope, and who was a long-time and early friend of George Lucas, right, to the very beginnings of his career. All of these people, in their own inimitable ways, with their own particular passions and talents, contributed to the experience that we have as Star Wars fans. And so, as we say with all of the In Memoriam episodes that we do here, there is a quote by a gentleman named Meister Eckhart, who once said that if the only prayer you said was thank you, then that would be enough. So I encourage you today to take a moment to say thank you to whoever or whatever you feel connected with in this world, and say thank you to the folks who helped to create this wonderful thing called Star Wars that we all get to enjoy 40 years on from its original creation date. And that is going to do it for today's episode of the show. As always, I thank you so much for joining me for it, and I hope the Force is always with you wherever in the world you may be.